guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be ranting. Ooh, that light. Today I'm going to be ranting, and it's going to be a long one. It's going to be a long one because I'm going to be ranting a lot, and my notes are all on my phone. So yeah. So my last video was my top 5 worst A Christmas Carol adaptations, and number 1 got me so angry that I said I'm just going to do a whole review because it makes me speechless because I can't rate it on itself alone because it is based on a source material and it is a retelling. Apparently I can't rate it on itself alone. So yeah, this is going to be a 100% spoiler review. So if you guys want to watch it, it's on Amazon and it's on Hulu. Watch it before you watch this video and comment down below and tell me what you thought about it, because I feel like no one has seen this movie and I need to have someone else see this movie and tell me what they think about it, because so let's get into the review, huh? So, story time, a little bit. The first time I saw this, it was Christmas Eve. I was really excited because I had not seen a Christmas Carol adaptation since, I hadn't seen a new A Christmas Carol adaptation, like a legit adaptation, since the 2009 Jim Carrey one. So I was really excited. But then I heard that it was going to be directed by the guy who did Peaky Blinders, and I've never seen it. I've only seen the trailers, and from what I saw from the trailers, it wasn't really my thing. So I was like, ooh, okay, ooh, a little gothic, alright. And then I heard that Tom Hardy was executive producing, which I accidentally said it was Tom Hardy who played Scrooge. Wrong. I was wrong about that. Tom Hardy executive produced it. And I only know about Tom Hardy that I think he has a clothing line or a sports line or something, and which got me like, huh? I kind of forgot that he was in the acting industry. So that got me a little worried. And then I heard that Andy Serkis was going to be in it, and I was like, alright, cool, I hope he's Marley. No. He would have been like, great, Marley. The Marley in this is awesome, but I wish that Andy Serkis was Marley. Anyway, and then I heard that Joel Alwyn was going to be in it, and if you know my love for Mary, Queen of Scots, the 2018 movie, you know I was really excited, and I think he was also in the Favorite, I think. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. But then I heard that Guy Pearce was going to be in it, and I was like, I know the name, I don't know the work. So I was like, alright, I hope he's good. And then when I actually did watch it on Christmas Eve of 2019, if you guys follow me on Twitter, which I'm almost never on, but I was like twittering, ranting my thoughts on the movie, which it's a movie in the United States. It's a 3-part miniseries in the UK, and so which I find interesting, but like it's whatever. Wait, this one piece of hair. And I just find that interesting. Like, why didn't they just make it a 3-part here, or make it a movie over there? Whatever. So, I think the only grace I had with this movie was that it was going to be produced by the BBC, because I actually had a little faith in FX, because I know their work. I love season 3 of American Horror Story. I stopped watching at hotel. So I was like, all right, if there's going to be anything bad in it, it's going to be from the FX team. And boy, was I right. Yeah, so after watching it for the first time, I was ranting about it on Twitter, as I said before, and I was talking about it with my sister, and it left such an impression on me that I'm still kind of speechless now. Even after seeing it twice, I'm double speechless because I remember me kind of watching. I was watching it, but I was also wrapping up presents. So I was, I think, so I was like kind of distracted, and I was watching it with my grandmother, who was also like kind of falling asleep. I was like, fine. So that was fine. She ends up waking up at the worst part though, but I'll get to that in a minute. I'll get to that later. And by the end of it, I was like, I didn't know what to say, except for what I ranted, and I really wanted to know what other people's thoughts were, and I was kind of disappointed that not many people saw this movie slash miniseries, and I think I found like a Guardian review of it, and I found like maybe two reviewers talk about it on YouTube, and not many big people, big review tubers reviewing it, and I was really, really sad about that, and I think I need to hear your guys' thoughts. So, after a second go around, what did I think of this movie? It's the worst adaptation if you're trying to base it on a source, on the source material. It's the best version if you really just want a different adaptation. If you're sick of the word for word, character by character plot lines of the original source material, you'll think it's terrible. If you have an obsession with the source material and some of the adaptions, like I do, you will find it terrible. If you're sick of the source material, of the way that it's been done throughout the years, this is a refresher that I think maybe you'd like. And here's my tea. And would I recommend this for the people who love A Christmas Carol like I do? Yes. Yes, only because it is such a... I'll put the explicitive here because I can't say that word right now. It is such a... that I feel like it should be remembered. Because honestly, I've not seen an adaptation like this. Like, I have seen corporate CEO adaptations. I've seen pop diva adaptations. I have seen a blind man do this part. I have not seen an adaptation like this, and it is so out of the box and so weird. Okay, so, alright, I think we'll go on with the spoilers. I'm going to do what I loved the most and what I hated the most, and then what I hate the most is probably going to be the most spoiler in most of my notes. And so what I loved the most was the BIPOC representation. For those who don't know, BIPOC is I always say this wrong, inclusive is an inclusive term for all of the people of color and indigenous. I'll put the actual title of it up here, and it has a lot of BIPOC representation. Mary Cratchit is black. Mary Cratchit is the wife of Bob Cratchit, and they actually have 2 biracial kids, which I love. And the little girl who plays Mary and Bob Cratchit's daughter is like full on like black, which I love. There is, I really want to say allegedly disability representation, because I feel like the little boy who plays Tim Cratchit, Tiny Tim, is actually disabled, but I don't think he's. I don't want to say like he is or not, just like straight out. I don't know, and there isn't much information about this little actor that I could find, but I do think he is. And if he isn't, and if he actually isn't, then they did a pretty good job with handling Tiny Tim's disability, because it looks like he actually is disabled. So it looks that was just like amazing. Let me look through my notes, because like right. So speaking of Bob Cratchit, they revamped. Let's say that they revamped all of the characters. Really, they revamped their characteristics, and Bob is one of the characters that I kind of like that they revamped. He's more cynical, and he's also a little bit more optimistic, but he's also a little bit he's more sarcastic in this, which I love sarcasm, and I kind of like cynical characters. But you can totally see. I'm sorry, that sun. Oof. But you can totally see. I can't do anything about that, darn. Right. But you can totally see. With Bob, he's like trying so hard to like hold in his frustration with Scrooge, and I think that is something that even the original Bob didn't really have. I don't really feel like he was so positive that I think it kind of it overdid it, and I kind of like that the Scrooge is a little bit more frustrated. Let me see. And Joe Alwyn is amazing as Cratchit, and I like his performance a lot. So when Marley is in limbo, is in purgatory. Okay, in limbo. He's not in purgatory yet. When Marley is in limbo, he gets sent to purgatory, which I'm not sure. They say that he rung a bell. I'm not sure how he did that in the scene. I'm not sure if he like rang if he like secretly or somehow rung an actual bell and I just didn't catch it in the scene, or if his pleas was the bell, because he was pleading about something, and so he gets sent down to Purgatory, England, which I found really funny, and the bell had the words hope and longing, Purgatory, England, and I just think it's a little like city, like it's a little earth under earth, but it's like in between hell and earth, and I just think that's amazing. Oh yeah, speaking about BIPOC representation, there is even more black people in this adaptation, which I love. One of the people that actually gives Marley his chains, that actually makes his chains and gives it to him, is black. And that character died from one of Marley and Scrooge's workhouses that they owned, which I love that. And I kind of like that they did more than just invest in money. I love that they like had other ways of making people suffer. Like they had other ways of just industrial corporate greed. I love that they did that. Let me see. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that that we get more of Marty's opinion of Scrooge too, because when I'll get to like the actual like spoiler part, but there's a scene where he's like that there's nothing. I don't even think that there's a soul in Scrooge. Like I don't know how I'm going to like get him to change. No, that's not going to work, and that's obviously like paraphrasing, but he actually, it's not that he hates Scrooge, it's that he knows that even his own actions wasn't as bad as Scrooge's. Like I kind of love that introspection from him. Let me see. Marley haunts Scrooge's office, which I found kind of funny, and I found kind of fun. Yeah, I found really funny, and I found kind of fun just to see that like he could actually like go further than just his house. I found that cool. Oh yeah, to go back to the BIPOC representation, also, they have Alibaba come in as one of the Ghost of Christmas Past. I'll get to that later. And Alibaba is played by actual Persian man or Middle Eastern actor, and I found that really amazing. Like, yay, BIPOC representation. Yay, more of it, please, please, please. Let's see what else. Yeah, I'm trying to look through my notes here. Oh, yes, so, this isn't a good thing. However, I feel like there's a writer or a few writers from American Horror Story on this team. Because there are just a few scenes in here, which I'll get to later, that are really reminiscent of an American Horror Story plotline, and it made me feel weird. And I just, yeah. And I also say that because there is a scene where Marley loses his jaw. And in all of these adaptations, why does Marley have to lose his jaw in almost every adaptation? Like, why? Why? But yeah, Scrooge, when Scrooge goes to the door knocker, the door knocker breaks off, and along with it, Marley's jaw. Since it was on, since Marley was haunting the door knocker, Scrooge yanked the door knocker in fright, and the jaw came off onto the door knocker, and Scrooge just left it there, kind of afraid, like, yeah. So he goes upstairs, and then somewhere after that scene, he sees something near his fireplace. He picks it up. It's legit Marley's jaw, and he of course freaks out. And then Marley comes behind him, and you can like literally see like if this was off of my if my jaw was off of my face, and it was just my teeth and my tongue, or just I actually no, I think it was just his tongue up from his gum, and amazing effect. I love that effect so much. I just think it's awesome. and that is another American American Horror Story thing that they would probably do if they have not done that already. I think they did that actually in Freak Show. Anyway, that's all of my good stuff that I had for this movie. So where do I start with the bad? Well, I think I'm just gonna go through it like my notes dictate. So when this movie first opens up, we see a grave. It's Marley's. Apparently Marley dies at 47, which I found was weird. Excuse me. And this boy comes up to his grave and pees on it. And I granted, I don't know much about male urination, but I'm pretty sure that pee doesn't melt snow that quickly because there was snow on top of Marley's grave. Excuse me. And the pee melts all of the snow on the tombstone to show his to show his name, his date of birth and death date, and his age. And rest in peace. And I'm pretty sure that pee doesn't sink into the ground, into snow, and then into the ground, and then into a grave, and then into a coffin that quickly. And I say this because the pee does fall into the ground, into the snow, into the ground, into the coffin, onto Marley's face. And Marley just wakes up. He wakes up, by the way. He's dead, but he wakes up, and he goes, yay, I wrote it down. He says, it says rest in peace, for what I have to do to get some peace. And then that's the first scene of the movie. Marley was dead to begin with. I have no thought. I don't know that whole passage. I probably should. For my love of it, I don't know that whole passage. But just imagine if I guess that was their rendition of Marley was dead to begin with. But actually, guys, he is dead, but he's in purgatory. So he's in limbo. So like his body is dead, but his spirit is not. Like, huh? So, because of that scene, we see Scrooge, defrosting his window with a candle. Again, ice melts way too fast in this movie. You would think that wouldn't be one of my gripes, but it kind of is. Oh yeah. So Marley dies at 47. Apparently, Scrooge is supposed to be 50 in this, and Guy Pearce. I'm not sure how old Guy Pearce is now, but he does look like he's in his like mid 40s. He doesn't look 50 yet, but he does look like middle age. But the way that they made his hair, it looks like they tried to dye a wig gray, but it didn't work. So they pepper sprayed it, and it looks awful. Yeah, and so Scrooge and Cratchit have this psychological conversation, which kind of gives Scrooge's worldview. However, it feels like they're trying to deepen a character that doesn't need to be deepened, and if you would ask me what kind of like mindset do I find Scrooge, I would not have said a psychological scientist. I would never have said that about Scrooge, because that's not his character. But they give it to him in this, I guess, to deepen it, and it's It's so weird, and it's so weird, and yet it's kind of a fascinating characteristic to give him, and it seems like they're trying to mesh two different people together into it is weird. Um, oh yeah, so characters curse in this. They drop so many f-bombs, especially Andy Serkis, and it's amazing. It's not great. It's not good. It's amazing because it's so weird. But yeah. Um. So Scrooge talks to Marley's empty chair. And he talks about this dream that he had. It's a pretty much a foreshadow scene for his death. And the chains. Here's a gripe that I have about not this scene, but the script. It's a lot more telling than showing, and Scrooge has many monologues in this that I feel like would be reminiscent of a first person character in a book. And granted, I'm not a film student, so I don't really know if this is like it's something that's common in movies. I'm pretty sure it's not, but maybe it is. It is like a sector of movies that have characters do monologues they have characters do soliloquies, like they're in theater. I am a theater major, so I know what that is like. I'm not sure if that's really the thing for film though. So it's dabbing into different sectors of creativity that isn't. It's not. It's not really. It's not really found in film that I've seen. So it's weird. Okay, so to go back to Marley. So the guy that I said before who died of exhaustion in one of their workhouses makes and gives Marley his chains. Between there, he somehow the guy who we never get his name, which is unfortunate. The guy tells Marley that the spirits probably have a job for him to do, which I'm just like, how does he know that? But okay, whatever. Then the way that they cut the scene. We missed a step. We missed a step because after that scene, we see him dragged through a forest by a driverless carriage by his chains, and it feels like we missed a step, and yeah, so Marley is lost in the woods. They reference something that will come up later. Something about Marley having a horse. About about Marley having a horse in a derby, and I guess the horse died, and the horse is out in limbo, I guess, somehow. I think what I think it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be like a forest of memories, and I guess that horse is one of Marley's memories, because when Marley sees it, it's a rocking horse, but it's in the shape, and it looks like the horse that he had during the derby, I guess. So when Marley meets Andy Serkis, Christmas Past, yes, Andy Serkis is the ghost of Christmas Past in this. They do something with the character with a Ghost of Christmas Past. They make him a giant. He's huge. He kind of looks like a taller version of Hagrid, which is I find really hilarious. But in the original, the Ghost of Christmas Past is kind of like it's kind of a candle, but it's kind of not. You don't really know what it is, but we know that it is a spirit of light that is not old and not young either. And in this adaptation, they make him they basically make him a man, a gigantic, tall, huge man who burns who let me say who burns memories to get people who need redemption to repent. That sounds confusing, right? Because they didn't write that. They didn't write what is. He says what it is. Sorry, guys, that's my headache. It's probably from this movie. The ghost tells Marley what he is, but it's not written in a way that is. It doesn't really make sense. And I'm just going to say what I have in the notes. They changed the character from a candle-like spirit of old and young to a giant man who burns memories to get people who need redemption to repent. I'm not sure why they changed that. I'm not sure why they changed anything in this. But, I will say the ghost itself, it doesn't look like a candle either. It doesn't look like I know that other versions, I have like a candle, have like a woman who's like an angel. Not the right description either, but still it's closer to the book. This one, it looks like they tried to mesh the Ghost of Christmas Present and the Ghost of Christmas Past, the character's description together, and it looks like a mix of Jesus and Father Time, and it's kind of weird. I say that because the Ghost of Christmas Present is a woman in this one, and I'll get to that later. Yeah, so to go back to Scrooge, Fred visits him, and they have this odd theological conversation, which, granted, they kind of had one too in the source material, but it wasn't so overly Christian. It wasn't so overly Christian. It wasn't so overly religious. It was more so that it was vaguely religious enough that like it would like skirt by, like you know. But this one like they talk about like pagan origins and camels, and Scrooge kind of just like it. And the conversation, the only thing from the conversation that comes back is the camel part, because Scrooge is kind of like bewildered that people actually believe that camels walk through the snow, and it's just like no. So it's but the rest of the conversation, even Fred doesn't come back, so so I don't really know what the point was for that conversation and or Fred for this one. Scrooge hears Marley calling his name and makes the 2 coins that Scrooge put on his eyes at his funeral fall from the fireplace, which I found really funny. Again, Marley is haunting his office. So we move from Scrooge and we go to the Cratchits, and we spend a good deal of time with them, and apparently Tim had an operation, and Bob is like confused. This was 7 years ago, by the way. Scrooge, sorry, Tim had an operation, but Bob is confused how they got the money. Mary tells them that that's from a cousin in America. This is obviously a lie. We don't know who gave them that money. This will come later. And it is so frustrating and so problematic, and I will get to that later. So Scrooge goes to his house. Marley is in the door knocker. Scrooge gets the job. It scares him, obviously. He doesn't believe that Marley is actually there. Again, puts a psychological feeling on it. something cool happens to, with this conversation. So Scrooge is trying to get away from Marley, and he goes into the next room. The next room is transformed, I guess, by the ghost to show this factory that burned down that was owned by Scrooge and Marley. And this factory had killed many people, and had destroyed the lives of many. And Scrooge and Marley did nothing about it. And he gets gets berated, very much so, very deservedly so, by one of the people who got injured, and like they're all dead, but it's still that, like, I guess it's kind of like going through like those like motion goggles. It's like he sees the destruction for the first time for himself, and I just thought that was cool. So Guy Pearce. Guy Pearce's acting is the most acting I've ever seen of a Scrooge. But I mean by that, he has the facial reminiscent of emotion of Scrooge, but not the vocal emotion for Scrooge. And my computer is running out of time, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up a little bit. I'll do extra parts for uploading, and I'll just leave it on Guy Pearce's acting. Guy Pearce's acting, it feels like the lines were written for Johnny Depp, but they couldn't get him, so they casted Pearce, and it just feels like he emotionally is feeling the character. He facially is feeling the character. He emotionally is not, and it makes for a really, really upsetting Scrooge. And with that, I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna do like 3-4 parts of this because my computer's about to die. And this video is long enough anyway. So click next for part 2, and have a great New Year, guys.